What's up, everybody? It's PB here, and I'm back with another review of Stargirl, Episode 5, Hourman and Dr. Mid-Nite. And I know last episode I said it was not that great of an episode, even though it was still good. It was the worst one they had made yet. This one redeemed itself. It got things moving in a positive direction. Anyway, before we get into it, if you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're excited to talk about Stargirl, go ahead and hit the like button. And, leave me a comment down below and tell me if I'm completely ridiculous or if you enjoyed the review. Or, leave whatever you would like. And this time, I brought some notes, so when we get to the spoiler section, I don't get lost like I did on the last episode and couldn't remember what the hell the note said. But there was way too many things on the screen to read when some things happened in this episode that I'm not going to talk about yet because I don't want to say the spoilers. We save the spoilers for once we get into the review a little bit because, I want you to get the grasp of it. But yeah, as I said before, this episode, it was a damn good episode. But if you were looking for something with more action, you're going to be disappointed. If you're looking for something with a little more intrigue, mystery, then you are getting exactly what you wanted. That is what this episode was about. It was about building the story. Yes, they introduced some more characters that we hadn't seen previously. But besides that, oh man, how do I put this? They don't use hardly any action sequences to get you to see the true sense of how people are going to act with the powers that they possess. Like, there's minimal amounts of action, but there are no fighting scenes. That's technically a minor spoiler. That's what I would call a negative spoiler. So if you were watching the episode expecting a fight scene, now you know not to expect one. Negative spoiler. Sorry about that, everybody. But besides that, they're using the score properly, and then they use some great music in this episode. Like in the first, not the very first scene, but the second scene of the episode, they use the song Wonderful by Everclear. Oh man, and the way they intertwine it with the scene was beautiful. As in, it was loud as you're panning in and then you see what's going on. And then as the characters start to talk, they dumb it down. And as you're listening to the words in the background, they are also telling the story of what the characters are feeling in the moment and how they would be different if their life had played out, let's say, normally. Okay? Yeah, let's go with that. So, this was a great episode. I loved it. Like, it was definitely short on action, which is slightly disappointing, but the story, like, I don't know if I could see all of the stuff that was written on the screen. It's some blurry text. Maybe if you're watching in 4K or something like that, you can read the stuff on the screen. Maybe somebody out there has another video talking about it. I don't know. But if you haven't seen this episode, you need to go and watch it, especially if you're watching the season. Or if you just want to listen to the recap that I'm going to do here in a moment, because guess what, everybody? Notes this time. Oh, maybe I said that already. Anyway, we'll get into it now. So anybody who doesn't want spoilers, you can dip out now. I feel like I've been rambling on long enough, talking ambiguously about the episode, that if you want to dip out, go ahead. But I'm going to roll through these notes and tell you what happened in the episode, give you a couple little thoughts on it. Then when we get to the end, we'll see if I have any wrap-up thoughts. So, you got 3 seconds to dip out. 3, 2, 1, and we're going into it. Okay, so episode starts. Blue Valley, 9 years ago. Rex Tyler, the original Hourman. He's packing up some stuff. He's writing a journal, and he's sending it off to Pat. He's mailing it to him out in California, because that's where Pat's from. That's right. And he leaves his son Rick with his brother-in-law, his uncle, or Rick's uncle. Okay? And he also leaves him a small toy car. Don't know what's going on with the toy car, but it's something special. He said there's something special about this car, and I don't know if it's just supposed to be a symbol or if it's something actually special, a la the tank in Ant-Man. I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, Matt doesn't, that's the uncle, Matt doesn't know how to, he said, yeah, I don't know how to take care of a kid. No fucking clue, man. Like, I'm just a fucking bachelor. Like, what the hell, man? So then they change the kid's last name to Harris so that nobody knows who he is, and the parents drive away. And as they're driving away, Solomon Grundy jumps out of fucking nowhere, smashes the car, they crash, they die. Oh my god, boom. That's how you start off. I was like, well, apparently they aren't coming back for their son like they said they were going to. Shit. So then, this is that second scene I was talking about earlier. Cut to present day. Rick's working on the 66 Mustang that his dad said that he had when he was younger. And that he's like, oh, well, this is what my dad had, so I'm gonna build one up too. Excellent. And his uncle blames him for ruining his life. And this is when the song Wonderful was playing. So if you've never heard that song, go listen to it, or just watch the episode and you'll hear it playing, and that's fucking beautiful. This scene is beautiful to let you see in one scene how his life is total shit compared to how it was when he was a child and he had his loving parents in his life. It was great. It was great. Anyway, Rick, he's got to walk to school. He ain't got a car because he's working on his Mustang, and Rick sold his fucking carburetor. He's like, yeah, I got to pay for shit, man. It costs money. I'm selling your shit off because I'm paying for stuff. On the way to school, he's got to walk past the murder tree. Every day on the way to school, he's walking past this murder tree, and he punches it, and he scrapes his hand all the shit. Anyways, it's Halloween, and Courtney's brother scares the shit out of her wearing a fucking mask, and she's still sleeping in bed. It's like 7 in the morning. She's supposed to be up for school. Her mom comes up. She's like, Courtney, you're late. Okay, whatever. So, I messed up. She pushed the dog away because the dog was trying to lick her face to wake her up. Like, that's what dogs do. Get over it. Anyway, her mom comes up and she's picking stuff up. She's got all the shit just sitting in her closet. Mom almost sees all the stuff. She's like, oh, I'll pick it up. Don't worry about it. She decides she's going to take all the hero stuff to school and stuff it into her locker. Except she misses the goggles. Downstairs, Pat tells her that Zarek was the wizard. And then she tells Pat that the principal was the fiddler. And Pat's like, whoa. That's impossible. The fiddler was Irish and he was a man. But hold on a second there, Pat. It's 2020. You can be anything that you want in 2020. Who's to say that it isn't the same person and he's went through the transition? We have no idea. Anyways, he tells Courtney to do nothing. Like, don't be going out talking about this. Don't be recruiting more heroes. Knock it off. Like, or he don't know about the recruiting heroes. Sorry. He doesn't know about that. He's like, don't be doing anything. No secret spy work. Okay? And she smirks. So she gets to school, and Courtney and Yolanda, they're looking for new recruits for their JSA. And the girl from the hospital that's seen Courtney flying around is following them and listening to them, acting like she has her earbuds in and she's listening to music. She ain't listening to music. She's fucking spying on people like a goddamn creeper. What the fuck, man? Like, that creepy as hell. That's some creepy ass shit. And the janitor says to her when she bumps into, I think it was a mop bucket, there are dragons in the water. Like, this janitor knows something. I don't know what previous hero he was, but he is important. Very important. Then we cut to the scene where the evil fat white guy, and I don't remember his fucking name. Like, if you know his name, you tell me down in the comments, because I don't remember his name at all. Anyway, he buys some information on some tech that's being moved, and he pays the guy off with a giant wad of cash and a coin. It's chocolate. It's a chocolate coin. And he's like, it's French. And I was like, oh man, I need no French chocolate. Fuck that. Not that's not for me. Like, you gotta get your chocolate from Switzerland. Like, they're neutral. That's some safe chocolate, and it's delicious. Anyway, Pat and Courtney, they break down on the way to school, and they meet up with Rick. He just happens to be walking home. And then Pat notices something about Rick, about his story, about this 66 Mustang that was yellow. He's like, I know a guy with a 66 Mustang that's yellow. And he thinks to himself, and at that same time, Courtney sees that the hourglass is glowing in the bag. So she decides, oh, well, Pat, since the car's broke down because you're a mechanic, even though it seems like you ain't never fixed a car before. That's what she said before. She's like, have you ever fixed anything? I thought you were a mechanic. It was freaking hilarious. She decides she's gonna follow Rick. Now she's being a creeper. Like, what's up with the creepiness in this episode? I mean, you can't just be following people. Why don't you say something? You followed him all the way out of town. Anyway, Rick confronts her at the murder tree. Like, lots of stuff be happening at this murder tree. She tries the hourglass out on him. She's like, hey man, check out this hourglass, and nothing happens. And he says, dude, you need to like get back on your meds. And he walks away. So Beth shows up at Courtney's house and lies straight to Courtney's mom's face, like straight to her face. Hey, I'm one of Courtney's friends from school. And she goes, oh, sure, come in. So then they go into the kitchen, and Beth is just talking her fucking ear off, and she's like, hey, how about, I gotta get stuff ready for Halloween. You need to go in the living room and wait. And when she's in the living room, she sees that the dog is chewing on the goggles. So, or no, the dog is, the dog's chewing on the goggles. So she chases the dog upstairs, finally gets the goggles out of the dog's mouth, and then she gets to the landing upstairs. So what does she decide to do? Not go back to the living room. No! She decides she's going to walk in Courtney's bedroom. You're just going to walk in someone's bedroom? You ain't even never been in the house. You ain't even friends. You ain't even friends. What the fuck? Creepy as hell. And then she sees little Twitch in these goggles, so she puts them on. And then the goggles just start showing all kinds of shit to her and talking to her. It's like Google Glass, man, on steroids, built by a genius. Anyway, Courtney gets home and confronts Beth in her room. And Beth is like, yeah, I know you're Stargirl. She's like, I ain't Stargirl. I wasn't flying. That wasn't me. And you need to give me those back right now. There's something my dad's working on. She's like, nope, you're a liar. This thing detects lies. That's ridiculous. So then they sit there and they chat for a little bit, and they realize that Rick's dad was our man. Oh, well, son of a bitch. Anyway, so next scene, Pat tries to drop off a carburetor because he knows that Rick needed one when they were talking. That's what he told him. But only his uncle is there, and they don't have a good conversation. He's like, oh, why would I don't care about this piece of junk truck. And he's like, aren't you his dad? He's like, well, yeah. And he don't care about, or the car, not the truck, the 66 Mustang. He's like, well, then he must not actually be his dad, because he would love the 66 Mustang. Or whatever. Rick is off selling beer to minors, and not nicely. They're like, hey, we only want to pay this much. He's like, no, you gotta pay me double. And they're like, what the hell, man? He's like, you can either pay me double, or I'm gonna break your arms. And he's like, yeah, okay, we'll pay you double. And as they're walking away, they're like, yeah, he would have broke your arms for sure. For sure. And then what the hell? See, I made the notes and I scribbled them, and I couldn't even read the word for a second. Hilarious. So the girls, they tracked Rick to the party where he sold the beer to, and they decide to go in. Except Yolanda's like, yeah, I ain't going in the evil bitch's house. The evil bitch who stole her boyfriend because she sent the pick around school. Yeah, that bitch. She's like, I ain't going in her house. Fuck that shit. So they go into Beth and Courtney go in the house, and evil bitch was coming down the stairs. So Courtney's like, oh fuck, I need to hide. some guy pukes. She steals his gremlin head, so she puts the gremlin head on, and she's just walking around because they're looking for Rick. Whatever. So then Brainwave Jr., his son, because I can never remember his damn name either, he's talking to his girlfriend, and she's like, hey, what's been your problem lately? And he's like, oh, my dad's in a coma, and this party's loud. She's like, well, why don't you go visit him at the hospital? That's quiet. What a fucking cunt. Right, exactly. So when she's leaving on the way out, he hears Yolanda think that he is a jerk or a jackass or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something like that. And he goes, what'd you say? And she's like, nothing. So, his powers are expanding. So they find Rick and they tell him about his dad, and they give him the hourglass, and the motherfucker, he puts it on, and sure shit, it works. It works like hell. And he crushes a fucking keg like nothing. And he's like, yeah, thanks for the hourglass, but I don't want to be a part of your group of super friends. So I'm just going to take my hourglass because it was my dad's, and I'm just going to leave. Excellent. So Stargirl and Wildcat say, hey, the only way we're going to be able to convince him is by suiting up. Okay, whatever. Apparently you suit up as a superhero, and that's how you convince somebody. So when he's walking home, he sees his uncle in a diner fucking around with some chick, and he's like, you know what? Let's test out these Hourman super strength powers. And he punches his uncle's truck, and he breaks the motherfucker in half. Like, in the frame. The frame splits in two. It was freaking awesome. Like, okay, does that count for action? That might count for action. I don't know. Who knows? So then we cut to Beth. She's sitting in a cemetery all alone. And she's like, yeah, I understand how Rick feels to not have his parents, because my parents are getting back to their lives, and he lost his so young in their accident. And the goggles are like, what do you mean accident? It wasn't an accident. And it shows her a vision in the goggle or whatever. I don't know how she's seeing it. Some type of VR goggle thing of Solomon Grundy smacking the thing and killing them. She's like, oh shit, I gotta catch up to these motherfuckers. So Stargirl and Wildcat catch up to Rick at, guess where? The murder tree. And he's fucking pissed off. He's so goddamn pissed off. And Stargirl's like, hey man, you need to give me the hourglass. And he's like, hey, well, why don't you just try and take it from me then? Like, what are you gonna do, man? I'm Hourman. Like, maybe you can't take it from me now, but in 35 minutes, you can probably take the hell out of it, because I ain't gonna be able to do shit. So you might want to punch and run, but they're whamming, so you can't be punching. Anyway, before the fight breaks out, Beth shows up. She's like, no, nobody fight. You don't understand. Your parents, they weren't in an accident. They were in a fucking car, or they were in a murder, or whatever the hell you want to call it. They were in some type of homicide by a giant thing that my AI goggles call Solomon Grundy. And it projects out her goggles. And this time when she sees it, she gets all scared, but when she saw it the first time, she didn't get all scared. So I don't know if the projecting, like, gives you some extra fucking feeling about it. But as the frickin' truck rolls by, Rick has the moment with Rex where he's just looking at him in his truck. He don't look at his mom at all. He just looks at his dad, and he reaches out his hand, and then boom, it crashes into the tree, and he's like, yep, that's how I got killed. And Rick goes, yeah, you know what? I will join your team, but it's only for revenge. I don't care about justice. Fuck justice. I'm getting revenge. He didn't say fuck. I'm saying fuck. Because you can't say fuck on the CW, even though it's on DC Universe. That's not the point. The point is, watch this episode. But it's not over yet. In the final scene, we see a truck pulling over on the highway because there's a freaking bus in the way. The driver and the passenger get out, and the freaking principal is playing her goddamn fiddle. And the frickin' driver, he just walks over like a goddamn drone. And then the evil fat white guy comes out, and the passenger, he's got his hands over his ears. He's like, oh, you must have a stronger will. And he shoots that motherfucker. He shoots him fucking dead. I was like, oh, that sucks for you, guy. Too bad you couldn't have just been a drone. And then we find out that the guy that he paid off earlier to get the info, He killed him with that chocolate. Surprise, surprise. Fucking French chocolate. Never trust the French. Never trust the French. Eat American toast. Anyway, then Pat goes to check on Courtney in her room. Sure shit, she's gone. And he sees the frickin' duffel bag sitting there with all the JFA stuff or JSA stuff. And that was it. That's how they end the episode. And it was great. So let me know what you thought about the review in the comments below. I thought that this episode was great. I thought the review was even better. Didn't you? So, hashtag PopCulturePB does the best Stargirl reviews in the comments below. But until next time, everybody, I bid you adieu. If you are enjoying the content, please hit subscribe and ding the bell for notifications. That way you will never miss an upload by PopCulturePB.